Government and Military Certification Systems Incorporated, GMCS, a small business of Washington, D.C., protests the terms of a request for quotations, issued by the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. The protester asserts that the terms of the solicitation are unnecessary and unduly restrictive of competition. We deny the protest. Where a protester challenges a specification or requirement as unduly restrictive, the procuring agency has the responsibility of establishing that the specification or requirement is reasonably necessary to meet the agency's needs. We examine the adequacy of the agency's justification to ensure it is rational and can withstand logical scrutiny. The determination of a contracting agency's needs, including the selection of evaluation criteria, is primarily within the agency's discretion, and we will not object to the use of particular evaluation criteria so long as the criteria reasonably relates to the agency's needs in choosing a contractor that will best serve the government's interests. Once the agency establishes support for the challenged solicitation term, the burden shifts to the protester to show that it is clearly unreasonable. Here, GMCS's only challenge to the terms of the solicitation is that the agency's preference for a contractor auditor with a background in nuclear safety practices is unnecessary because nuclear safety practices are not within the scope of the audit. Because nuclear safety practices are not within the scope of the audit, GMCS further argues that the agency's preference for this type of background unduly restricts competition. GMCS does not challenge the agency's requirement that the contractor have a scientific background. There is no dispute that the audit here does not include a review of nuclear safety practices. However, as discussed above, NUSTL handles radioactive source material as part of its services. An audit of the services NUSTL provides in accordance with its QMS will naturally include information relating to the handling of radioactive source material. The agency concluded that it was not necessary for a contractor auditor to have knowledge of nuclear safety practices to perform the audit, but that it was preferential because someone with this background would understand the material relating to its radiological nuclear work. GMCS has not provided any basis for us to find it unreasonable that the agency prefers an auditor with a background related to the services being audited to ensure that the audit is completed accurately and competently. As a result, we find that the agency has established that its preference for a contractor with a background in nuclear safety practices is reasonably related to its needs. The protest is denied.